This is the new Renault Duster, and by now you know quite a bit about it already. We've already done an in-depth first drive and we've even drag raced it, but that was the 1.3 turbo petrol version. This particular one, this is the entry-level powertrain, which is a 100 horsepower 1 litre turbo petrol paired with a 6-speed manual. And I think this is gonna be the best seller from the Duster range. Let me tell you why. While the 160 horsepower 1.3 turbo and the upcoming strong hybrid might be the headliners, it's this 1 litre version that will probably bring in the numbers. Let's begin straight away by seeing how it performs out on the road. So the engine in this one is a familiar unit. It's the one that we know from the Kaiga. It's a 3-cylinder 1 litre turbo petrol engine and that puts out 100 horsepower. But Renault says they have made specific changes for the Duster. So for example, in this one, it puts out 166 Newton meters, which is 6 Newton meters more than the Kaiga, and it comes mated to the 6-speed manual transmission instead of the 5-speed in the Kaiga. Now being a 3-cylinder unit, you do get the thrumminess and the vibrations, especially at idle, but it does smooth out on the move. And it's quite refined as well. It really gets audible only when you're really at the top of the red line. Speaking of performance, yes, there is a prominent turbo lag under 2000 RPM, but over that, you get a really strong mid-range punch and it pulls quite cleanly till the 6000 RPM red line. Not that you ever have to chase the red line because it makes its peak torque at just 2000 RPM and peak power is made at 5000 RPM. So in ghat and uphill sections is when the turbo lag really becomes prominent. So you have to remember to keep it in the meat of the power band and you have to downshift. But as long as you do that, performance is more than adequate. Sure, it doesn't have the numbers or the pure pulling power like something like the 1 litre TSI from the Kushaq, but for everyday driving and some normal highway driving as well, this is just fine. Do note though, if you are on a highway like I am right now and you're cruising in top gear, 6th gear at about 80-90 kph and you want to make a quick overtake, you will have to downshift so that you can make quick progress. So yes, overtakes will require some planning out on the highway. But other than that, for city driving and for commutes, it's absolutely fine. The clutch pedal is light enough, though it has a slightly springy action, but you can get used to it quite easily. This gear selector also, this gear lever, I quite like the shape of it and how it feels to hold, but it takes some effort to slot into gear, and that's only when you're driving it in an enthusiastic manner. Now, one of the biggest reasons to pick this 1 litre manual over the 1.3 is fuel efficiency. Now, this has been a very short, very brief drive, so we haven't yet had the chance to subject it to a real-world efficiency test, but Renault claims that this one will do 19.41 kilometers per litre. And all the other strengths of the Duster remain, especially the sorted ride and handling balance. So out here on the highway like I am right now, expansion joints are barely felt, it keeps the cabin very stable and it's really confidence inspiring at high speeds. It has that typical European hint of firmness, especially at low speeds, but that's not to say that it's uncomfortable by any means. It smothers rough patches, broken roads and potholes without breaking a sweat, and it also doesn't have the steering kickback associated with the older Duster. Around the bends, it's not the most agile, but the steering has some nice good feel to it, so you can point it exactly where you want it to, and body roll is well controlled too. So yeah, you can have some proper fun around corners. So that's what the Duster 1 litre feels like out on the road. Now let's take a look at what's different inside and out. Now, unlike the 1.3 range, the Duster 1 litre range cannot be had in the top 2 variants. Instead, it tops out at the mid-spec Techno variant, which is priced at 13.49 lakh rupees. And from out here, you'll be really hard-pressed to tell that this is in fact not the top variant. The only point of distinction here is that you get a smaller size for the alloy wheels, so you get 17 inches instead of 18 inches. But other than that, you still get the full LED headlamps, the butch muscular styling, the 4 skid plate elements front and rear, body cladding all around and roof rails as well. Now we've already covered the Duster's interior in detail, but since this is a different trim level, I'm still gonna show you around what's different. So the basic layout is still the same. You still get the layered dashboard here, but you do get some different upholstery and trim pieces. The biggest one that you can see is for these seats. So instead of the leatherette upholstery on the top spec variants, you get fabric seats here, and you get brown and black dual tone upholstery with this really nice white piping and stitching that looks really nice and gives it a premium vibe. And here on the dashboard, you also lose that leatherette trim here, which is replaced by the same fabric that's on the seats. And the trim piece here, which was carbon fiber in the top spec model, is now this different sort of textured material here. And other big change here is the instrument cluster. So the top spec Iconic got the big screen. This one gets a smaller 7-inch screen, and it's quite detailed. And you have different layouts as well, but some of the data just appears a bit too small, especially the rev counter. So that could have been better executed. Other than that, in this cabin, I really like this manual gear lever. It's really nice to hold and nice to look at. I also like the fact that it has physical controls for the AC, so that's really nice. This large touchscreen is also the same as in the top spec variant. It also gets wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And it is really nice and slick to operate, though some of the sub menus can get difficult to navigate. Of other things, you get a manual handbrake here and not an electric parking brake like you get in the DCT versions. So in comparison to the top spec model, of course, you lose a lot of features, like you don't get the ADAS features, you don't get a powered seat, nor ventilated seats or 360-degree camera. But still, for the price, you do get a lot. You get a rear parking camera, you get this massive panoramic sunroof, an Archimist sound system, powered tailgate, and so much more. Rear seat space is also par for the course in comparison to mid-size SUV rivals. So I've set this driving seat to my position. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, and as you can tell, I have ample legroom and loads of headroom, in fact, despite it having this large panoramic sunroof. Now, in terms of features back here, you get dedicated AC vents, you get Type-C charging ports, you get this fold-down armrest with cup holders, and what's really nice is that you get adjustable headrests for all 3 passengers. And it also continues to get a segment best 518 liters of boot space. So this Duster 1 liter manual tops out with this Techno trim that's priced at 13.49 lakh rupees, and it gets all the features that you'd ever want, and as such it represents really good value for money. Prices start at 10.49 lakh ex showroom, which is decidedly compact SUV money for a well-rounded mid-size SUV. In comparison, the 1 liter costs about rupees 1 lakh to 1.3 lakh lesser than the equivalent 1.3 manual variant. Now, coming back to why I think this is going to be the best seller in the range. You see, this has everything that we liked about the Duster 1.3, like its strong ride and handling balance, its butch muscular looks, and of course a decent equipment list as well. But this one is more affordable and it's going to be more fuel efficient as well. And that's why it's going to be the best seller.